Welcome back to the deep dive. We're picking up our exploration of Yoga Nidra and NSDR, those intriguing practices that might just hold the key to unlocking deeper rest and sharper mental focus.
That's right. And remember, we're not just exploring mystical relaxation techniques here. We're talking about science-backed methods that can actually impact our brain chemistry. In
Yeah.
fact, let's circle back to that incredible study from Denmark, where participants saw a 60% increase in dopamine levels after just an hour of Yoga Nidra.
Yeah.
What's really fascinating is that this boost wasn't from achieving a goal or receiving a reward. It was from simply allowing their brains to disengage from that constant goal-oriented mode.
It all comes down to giving your brain a chance to replenish its dopamine reserve pool. Think of it like this. When we're constantly striving, working towards something, we're essentially drawing from this pool of dopamine. And if we don't give our brains a chance to refill that pool, we can end up feeling depleted, stressed, and mentally sluggish.
So it's like we're running a mental marathon every day without ever taking a break.
Mm.
No wonder so many of us feel exhausted. But Yoga Nidra and NSDR offer a way to step off that treadmill and give our brains the downtime they need to restore and recharge.
Exactly. And that's where the potential for improved cognitive function and creativity comes in. When we allow our brains to disengage from that constant striving, we open up space for new ideas and insights to emerge. It's like clearing out the mental clutter so we can see things with fresh eyes.
It makes sense. When we're constantly bombarded with information and demands, it's hard for our brains to function at their best. But by intentionally creating space for stillness and relaxation, we're essentially giving our brains the opportunity to defrag and optimize their processing power.
And that's where the connection to sleep becomes really interesting. Remember Huberman's collaboration with sleep expert Matthew Walker?
Yeah.
They're using brain imaging to investigate how closely NSDR mimics the restorative effects of sleep at a neurological level.
Right. They're looking to see if NSDR can actually induce similar brainwave patterns and neurological activity as we see during deep sleep.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could tap into those restorative benefits without actually having to sleep for hours on end.
It's a tantalizing possibility. And even if NSDR doesn't fully replicate deep sleep, the evidence suggests it can provide significant benefits for our mental and physical well-being.
So let's say someone is listening to this and thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but how do I actually get started? What are some practical tips for incorporating Yoga Nidra or NSDR into their daily routine?
The beauty of these practices is their accessibility. You don't need any special equipment or a dedicated space. All you really need is a quiet place where you can lie down comfortably and a few minutes of uninterrupted time.
Okay, so find a quiet spot, lie down. What's next?
There are tons of resources available online. You can easily find guided meditations for both Yoga Nidra and NSDR. These guided sessions will walk you through the process from relaxation techniques to body scans and visualizations.
So if someone is new to these practices, guided meditations are a great place to start.
Absolutely. They provide a structure and a framework that can be really helpful, especially in the beginning. And as you become more comfortable, you can experiment with different lengths of practice, different voices and styles of guidance, or even try practicing without a guide.
And how long should someone aim for? We talked about how even 10 minutes can make a difference, but is there an ideal duration?
There's no magic number. Start with what feels manageable for you, whether it's 5, 10, or 20 minutes. And remember, consistency is key. Even short, regular practice can have a cumulative effect over time.
It's like anything else, right? Small, consistent steps often lead to the biggest changes. And speaking of changes, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the potential impact these practices could have on our lives beyond just feeling more rested.
Right. We've touched on the benefits for cognitive function and creativity, but let's dig a little deeper. Imagine feeling more present and focused throughout your day, having more mental clarity and energy to tackle challenging tasks, and feeling less reactive to stress.
It's like we're talking about upgrading our entire operating system. Instead of running on outdated software prone to glitches and crashes, we're installing the latest version optimized for peak performance.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual performance either. Imagine the ripple effect these practices could have on our relationships, our communities, and even the world around us.
Now you're talking. If we're all walking around feeling more rested, more centered, and more resilient, wouldn't that inevitably lead to a more peaceful and harmonious world?
It's certainly a possibility worth exploring, and that's what makes this conversation so exciting. We're not just talking about individual well-being, we're talking about the potential for collective transformation.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the science behind these practices to the practical tips for getting started. But as we wrap up part 2, I want to circle back to that thought-provoking question Sal posed earlier. If 10 minutes of intentional stillness could truly feel as restorative as a full night's sleep, How might that change your approach to life? How might that change your day-to-day experience?
It's a question worth pondering, isn't it? What if we could all access that level of deep rest and rejuvenation whenever we needed it? What possibilities would open up for us? What challenges might we overcome with renewed energy and clarity?
It's almost like we're being invited to reimagine our relationship with rest and relaxation,
Hmm.
to see them not as luxuries, but as essential tools for thriving in our modern world.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 3. We'll delve deeper into the potential impact of these practices on our lives and explore some real-world examples of how people are using Yoga Nidra and NSDR to transform their experience of the world.
That's right. We'll be back with more insights and inspiration in just a moment. Stay tuned.